The opinions, viewpoints, and beliefs presented on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the management, the affiliates and broadcast partners, or the sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Scarefest Radio, the radio you can see.
And hello and welcome everyone to Scarefest TV. I'm your host, Wes Forsyth. Tonight our super special guest is Mark Torgl of Toxic Avenger fame. And I'm also joined by my lovely and talented co-host, CC Ann, who is this bubbly. Although I'm a little surprised. Usually when I have a celebrity, she shows some cleavage. So we'll just have to deal with that tonight. We'll just deal with that. Everybody, we're going to hop right into it here.
I missed out on that.
Mark, that's what I'm saying. I expect so much out of her when I have somebody famous like you. And then, see, now when it's me, she wears like a t-shirt and a ball cap. So, just so you know.
You guys are embarrassing me.
I'm still hoping for the vacation dress at Scarefest, CC, by the way. Okay, everybody. Of course, you know Mark from the Toxic Avenger. The Toxic Avenger, of course, is a cult classic somehow. A cult favorite, if you will. So right out of the bat, Mark, I'm going to address the elephant in the room, which, where'd you go for 15 years, dude? 1985 to 2000, you were off the map.
Well, I wasn't completely off the map. I was always the consummate trauma actor. But the way I started working with trauma, I was actually a film student. So my interests were on the other side of the camera. But when I started working for trauma, and they put me in their first movie, The First Turn On, actually, because I was the script supervisor, an actor didn't show up for his role, and it was a major role. And so Lloyd, the director, said, Mark, you do it. And it was Dwayne, another socially awkward teenage nerd. And they liked the way I did it so much, they asked me next year to be in Toxic Avenger, playing the same sort of character. And after that, I moved to Hollywood and was doing some film work, some editing. They actually wanted me to be in Toxic Avenger 2 and 3, which was shot at the same time. It was actually just Toxic Avenger 2, and they decided to make it into 2 movies. But Lloyd didn't want to give me any money for it. And I just said, can you just give me a little bit of money? I haven't gotten anything for Toxic Avenger. So he's like, no, it's just not the trauma way. That's not the way we do things. And then I read the script and I was like, ugh. And I passed on it. And Lloyd actually said in the book he wrote, Everything I Know About Filmmaking, I learned from the Toxic Avenger. He said the biggest mistake he ever made was not giving me the $50 I asked for to be in Toxic Avenger 2. But then I went back for Toxic Avenger 4, and I don't think it was 15 years. I think it was more like 7 years or something like that. I may be wrong.
I'm going to double check IMDb on that. So the next thing, okay, the movie Toxic Avenger is widely credited with bringing trauma to the forefront of whatever the hell genre we're going to call that niche part of it. What was it like knowing you were a part of something that became a cult classic?
Well, we didn't know that was going to happen when we were making.
Of course not.
I was also the script supervisor on Toxic Avenger, so I saw the whole film being made. And we were like, this film is going to be very strange. It's either going to be like the worst movie ever made, or it's going to be a big cult, funny horror movie. And it turned into the latter. And I think that the charm of it is that it really is a horror comedy. I mean, there are just so many laughable parts in it. And I think that's what endeared it to the fans that, really started going to see it over and over and over again. And then, later, with social media and everything, it just got bigger, especially for me, because I started really getting noticed, and I started doing some conventions. It's just gotten bigger than I ever thought it would, and it still seems to be going on. And now they're doing a Hollywood version, a major Hollywood.
Are they? I said that today. Okay, yeah. Now in all fairness, I was sitting there today and I watched it, and my wife was asking me about it, and I said it had so many good parts. Now, I'm not saying I love the entire movie. I'm not one of those guys, but I will say that I said this movie is ripe for a remake versus all the shit they're remaking now that was, they're not adding anything to it. I think this story had enough foundation that I think a remake could really add something to it. So I'm happy to hear that. Cece, over to you.
Well, you were also in the Return to Nukem High, which is 2017, correct?
Yes. I was in Return to Nukem High, and I think Return to Nukem High. They keep finding footage and put them in all these movies. What happened also, when I started doing conventions, I started filming these conventions, since I'm a filmmaker. And my buddy from New York University went along, and we were kind of documenting. We did like the Mad Monster Party and Days of the Dead and others. And along the way, we decided to make a feature film, like a narrative, like not just a documentary. And we did. It's called Toxic Tutu. It takes
Tutu, 2017 as well. Yeah.
The backdrop is mostly conventions, and we brought this whole fictional story to it. The byline is the almost true story of whatever became of Melvin the Mop Boy from the Toxic Avenger. So I get abducted and all sorts of crazy fun stuff. We shot it for nothing, but it got distribution. So I'm really happy about that. It's out there.
How did you get paid for that one?
Well, I was the producer, so.
Oh no.
Not really. I spent a lot of money.
But you won some awards for that, correct?
I did, yeah.
You did. You're an award winner.
I am. There was a film festival, a horror film festival in San Diego, and I got Best Actor award. So
amazing.
I was amazed. I was about to tell you too, the reason I started doing more trauma films is Lloyd is actually in Toxic Tutu. So we were trading off. I would do his and he would do mine. And that's the way all that went down. So that's when all the returns came about. Return to return to return.
And you said you kind of fell into this role, and I heard that there was almost a role with Madonna in there somewhere. Did I read that?
That was the first turn on. That was the first movie I was in, when the actor didn't show up and they told me to do it. But apparently Madonna auditioned for that movie, and it was kind of before she really made it. And Lloyd says that she came to the office and she had on a little camping outfit because she was auditioning for the part that would have ended up being my girlfriend, the camp counselor. So that was a missed opportunity because that could have been very cool. And
right, because she probably was like a virgin back then.
Maybe, but she didn't get the part. They didn't hire her, so it was like, oh wow, that's crazy.
Man, now, and I had to ask, you have been in all these movies, and during that time period, they had all these very attractive women in these movies, and lots of bikinis and big boobs and big hair. I mean, so here you are surrounded by all these women. Did that make a lot of opportunities for you?
Oh, there are always opportunities on the Troma set because nobody's getting paid. Everyone's doing it for the fun. And everyone's young and ambitious and extra, how do you say it? Horny?
Nice. Yes, that did seem to be
I felt like Cece was dancing around her question there.
Yeah, save me from that one, Wes.
They're fun though. We have a lot of fun on a Troma set.
I'm interested to find out how much. Okay, I watched Toxic Tutu, and I was telling Cece parts of it. I'll put it this way: they seemed real. Other parts were obviously for the production. But how much of the information that we gleaned from Toxic Tutu would you say actually was real information?
I would say very little. I mean, like I said, we started off just documenting my appearance at this Mad Monster party, and very quickly we were like, we've got to make a movie. So we started thinking of ideas, and a lot of the footage, some of the footage at the conventions are real interviews, with the fans and stuff. But for the most part, we just made up the whole thing.
Well, one of the it was kind of an interview with you. One part that I did find interesting, and I think it played into the way you explained it before, was how you actually went to work for Troma, because you were a film student at the time, correct?
Yes, I was a film student at NYU, and they put a notice up on our job board to come work on a real film. It also said we won't pay you like they would on a real film, but you'll get great experience. So come on down and be in a real film, work on a real film. And that's when I went down and talked to them, and Lloyd was like, "Oh, you go to NYU. Well, what do you want to do on this film?" And I said, "Well, I'd like to be the script supervisor so I can work with the director and see the whole film being made." He was like, "Okay, you can be the script supervisor. Done. What else do you want to do?" I said, "I enjoy writing." He's like, "Great, you can write some additional scenes. What else do you want to do?" I should have just said, "Can I direct it?" Because he was pretty much letting me do he just, he wants everybody to do as much as possible because that's, the Troma way. So, and that was, so I went to work on that film. And like I said, that's when the actor that was a major role just didn't show up. And so I ended up doing it, and they just loved it.
Boy, did he miss out.
Yeah.
And so good for you.
Although he probably wouldn't have done it as good as I did it.
Definitely not. It was masterful.
Have you seen it?
Absolutely.
The first turn on I'm talking about.
Oh no, I watched The Avenger.
Yeah. I have a great scene in the first turn on with a corn cob.
With a corn cob. Well, you had a great scene in The Avenger with the sheep.
Yes.
That was lovely.
That sheep had real moving, lively bugs crawling and hopping all over it.
Oh no.
So when the lights went on and I was supposed to be sick from it, I almost was sick because.
Well, no, what?
Did they just pull it off a farm? Wes, they just pulled it off your farm?
No. Okay, I'll give my experience with sheep. When I was Ute, we raised sheep, and I don't remember them having. Now they stunk to high heaven. Don't get me wrong, but I don't, because their wool is usually so thick. They don't have a lot of bug problems. But
well, this is a New York City sheep, so
City sheep.
Good point. Okay, everybody, we're going to take our first quick commercial break. We'll be right back with more with Mark Torgl. Mama Ruby offers fun vendor-based events that focus primarily on the metaphysical and spiritual aspects of our lives. Well, 2020 didn't go as planned, to say the least. Since Mama Ruby's can't bring the vendors to you in person, they still encourage you to support them online. For links to these and other outstanding artists, craftspeople, vendors, and psychics, visit mamarubies.com and click shop. And welcome back, everybody, to Scarefest TV. Our guest tonight is Mr. Mark Torgl from Toxic Avenger fame. In this segment, he's got some stuff coming up. We're gonna I'm gonna toss it over to CC. I'm gonna let her hit him up for the projects that he's working on and getting ready to work on. I do want to follow up though. You said that you were there for the entire filming of the movie.
Yes.
Two things. Okay, I got to go back to a question I previously asked about and you said you didn't know if it was going to be an absolute work of art or lost. What was the running bet at the time? What was your gut feeling? Did you think it was going to become what it became, or
we kind of thought it was going to be really different and strange and special, and it really did happen. But initially I think it opened at a handful of theaters, and it didn't even run for a week, and it got pulled. Because people weren't going to it. It just wasn't generating any word of mouth. But then it started playing in New York City at the Bleecker Street Cinema as the midnight movie on Saturday nights. And it started getting a following. And people were coming week after week after week until the auditorium was full. I even made a personal appearance there one night and tried some stand-up comedy, which I was awful, but the crowd loved me anyway. And then this started happening at theaters around the country as a midnight movie, and that's how it got the cult following.
Now, here's my biggest compliment on the movie. Absolutely, the special effects, the kills. I haven't seen anything any better. I'll put that out there. I'm sure people in the chat are going to say, "Oh, so and so is better." It don't matter. I'm telling you, the practical effects of the kills in that movie were just off the charts. Now, the only reason I'm bringing that up is then they made it into an animated series in the early 1990s. What was your reaction when you heard that they were taking that to Saturday morning cartoons?
It was quite unbelievable. I couldn't believe that could transfer into a children's, cartoon series. They also had comic books. Yeah, I mean, Lloyd Kaufman is kind of a genius in what he does, and he knows how to market to certain audiences. And so I think he just, decided to do one for children and do the comic book, and it's just incredible. I mean, I actually had never even seen the cartoon, but the people that come at the convention say, well, that's when I started watching Toxic Avenger, when it was a cartoon. And then I realized it was a real movie. And when I turned on the movie, I was shocked. I couldn't believe what I was seeing because it was nothing like the cartoon. And it was like gross, and there were tits and there was blood. But then I really loved it, but most of these people were kids when they started watching Toxic Avenger, or when they discovered it from the cartoon. So yeah, it's
CC, over to you.
Amazing. So what do you have upcoming that we can look forward to? What do you have in the works?
Well, since I grew this beard, my COVID beard, suddenly, like, filmmakers that are my fans all want me to be in their movies. Really? So I have like 7 movies coming up, and I have to read them off my list because I can't remember them all. The one I'm really excited about is the Macabre, which is being shot right now. My scenes have already been shot. and it's a serial. It's like 3 different stories in one movie, and it was one of the best horror scripts I ever read. And the director, Eric Mathis, was a fan of mine, and on Facebook he was, you know, messaging me, said, "Listen, I'm going to be doing this horror film. Do you want to read the script?" And I get that a lot. I was like, "Yeah, I'll read the script. You know, sure, send it off to me." And I really thought it was good. So I told you, I was like, "This is a really good script. You know, congratulations." He's like, "Well, do you want to be in it?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." And he gave me a role, um, kind of a creepy old guy in the woods role, and then he expanded it, and that they're shooting more this weekend. I mean, they've been shooting off and on for a few months now, so I'm really excited about that.
How has it been shooting during COVID times?
We postponed it once because it was just too risky, I thought. And he was like, "Whatever you want, we'll just do it whenever you want." And I got vaccinated, and 2 weeks later, I was like, "Okay, I'm ready." You know, so it was interesting because there was a lot going on the set, but everyone was really cool, and I don't think anybody got sick. So, so that was a good thing. I'm really excited about that. Now, James Balsamo is a famous director that makes like 100 movies a year. I'm in 2 of his. One is called Killer Waves 2, where I play Wet Willie. This was like done in my garage as a cameo. And Marky Ramone is also in that movie. So that's cool. And then I was in another one of his movies called Alien Danger, and I'm a cyborg bartender, and we already shot that. Then I'm in, coming up, it's called the After School Lunch Special, Part 2, Sloppy Seconds. That's coming up in a couple of weeks. I'm going to Nebraska to shoot that. And Lloyd is also in that one too. A guy named AJ Chambers is directing. And the other thing I did, it's like an animated type movie called Technically Alive. And I play a robot role, and that's already shot too. So these are all coming out. I mean, another one called Divide and Conquer that was already shot before COVID.
Yeah.
So
you've really stuck with the horror kind of science fiction genre.
Those are the people that know me. I mean, I don't audition for films. People call me up and want me to be in their films. It's like my claim to fame that I have never auditioned for a movie. People just always call me and want me to be in their movies because they're fans. And it all really started with Toxic Avenger. So
that's amazing. Now I'm assuming you're not playing, like a nerdy guy in these films, because you have come a long way from your look from the Toxic Avenger to the man that you are today.
Right. Yeah, I'm playing like, scratchy, dirty old man now. So
dirty old man.
Now, Divide and Conquer was before I grew the beard, so that was like the first one before COVID. So I am nerdy in that one. And that's, it's just very cool that all this is going on. I'm also doing my first convention since things are sort of quieting down is the Midwest Monster Fest in Illinois, and then I'm doing Scarefest.
Yay! There's the big announcement, everybody. Mark will be at Scarefest this year.
And that's the one I'm so excited about because I've never done it and I've only heard good things about it. So I'm real excited about that.
I think you'll really enjoy it, right, Wes?
Absolutely. Since you kind of touched on it in that section, what did Mark Torgl do to pass the time during quarantine? Because, okay, we were locked down tight. You all were in a fucking bank vault.
Actually, I do have a day job, which is, kind of boring. I'm a TV editor. And that continued. I was going to the studio up until the holidays, continuously making bad TV shows. And then I got a better computer and was able to start doing it from home. And I'm still doing that. So I kept working throughout the whole thing, which is good. I was able to renovate my whole backyard, because continuing to work and continuing to have money come in. So that's been about it. Didn't get out, didn't go to Las Vegas for the macabre shoot, but that was, just like a month ago. And
that was filmed in Vegas?
It was outside of Vegas, in Harumph, I think it was called, which is like a very strange neighborhood out in the country, out in the desert, I should say. But I did have a hotel room in one of the casinos, and it was just very surreal going. Like, we shot all night. I think I got back to the hotel at like 5 a.m, and there were people at the slot machines, and I was like, okay, and with masks, and I was like, yeah, this is kind of strange. And that's been it. I've been working and just trying to keep my mind occupied.
Okay, as you've explained to me, the gap between I'm sorry, this is 1984 to 2000. That's what's on IMDb. The point being, but now, you didn't do many conventions until, or did you do any even before you started filming for Toxic Tutu?
None. I was doing, my editing job, and I got this call. I guess it's been about 6 years ago now. And it was on my home phone, which I don't usually answer, but the caller ID said Mad Monster. I was like, I wonder what this is. And I picked it up and I was like, hello? And Evan McGar, the director of the Mad Monster Party, was like, is this Mark Torgl? And I was like, yeah, who's calling? And he was like, oh my God, I can't believe it's you. I'm Evan McGar. I run this Mad Monster Party convention. It's in North Carolina, and you've got fans that want to meet you. He was like, you've never done one of these before, have you? I was like, no. He was like, well, you should do this one. We'll set it up. We'll get you out there. You'll have a lot of fun. And so I did it, and it was the most fun I ever had. And then, since we were filming, I started doing as many as I could, within this 5-year period that we were shooting Toxic Tutu, because that was always our backdrop.
Okay, everybody, we're going to take our 30-minute break. We'll be right back with more from Mark Torgl. Everyone is talking about CBD oil. Most of us know that CBD is a cannabis compound that has significant medical benefits, but does not make people high. Its benefits include pain relief, anti-seizure properties, anxiety relief, fights cancer, reduces the risk of diabetes, and it is even used as a sleep aid. Blue Leaf Naturals CBD and hemp products are full-spectrum hemp extract oils. They use only hemp grown in Kentucky, supporting Kentucky farmers and businesses and helping you and your family stay healthy and well. Blue Leaf Naturals, created with care from seed to shelf. Visit their website at blueleafnaturals.com. Blue Leaf Naturals, a Kentucky proud company.
Horror, movies, fans, for life. On Facebook, find us. For watch parties, for news, For means. For friends. For life. Horror movie fans for life. Join us.
And welcome back to Scarefest TV. Since we let it out of the bag a little prematurely, Mark Torgl will be appearing at Scarefest 13 Resurrection coming up October 22nd through 24th. Get your tickets at thescarefest.com, thescarefest.com for tickets to this and more stuff like throwing axes with killers. We've got our axe throwing tickets on sale. We've got I need to update that banner. We got 6 people already throwing axes. You can be on a team. Very soon we starting to sell the spectator tickets, and there's only going to be a couple dozen of those, so don't miss out. Central Kentucky Mystical Market will be coming up in June. COVID restriction free. That means we can actually fit vendors and spectators in the building. We can actually have June 26th and 27th. Go to centralkentuckymysticalmarket.com. That's centralkymysticalmarket.com. Or just look them up on Facebook. Got a fan group and everything. Speaker applications. We are still taking them. We've got most of our lineup set, but we still got a few notches. So if you have not applied speaker applications, we are still taking a few and reviewing them. And then our film festival entries. Now those are open, people. We've got plenty of spots for our film festival. And the cool thing, spread the word. The cool thing about our film festival is your film will not be shown in the hospitality suite of the Holiday Inn. No, we have an actual movie theater, actual big screen movie theater that we will be showing our film festival in. They will be featuring them all weekend during the Scarefest, not even just during convention hours. The award winners, the best ones, will be shown to the public at large throughout the weekend. And finally, just a little plug, Scarefest gift shop. Go to scarefestradio.com. We still have Scarefest TV merchandise and Scarefest 2020, the lost year. T-shirts and sweatshirts. We still got some. So, we're back with Mark Torgl now. And to follow up on my last question, you're absent from the public side of the film industry. Then you start, and then a few years later, then you do your first convention around 2017. Were you prepared for horror fans?
Well, no, not initially. The interesting thing is, I don't get recognized really just, walking down the street. But when I go to these conventions, I do get recognized, and it's like a completely different, exhilarating world. I love it. I love having that notoriety. And then when I go home, nobody knows who I am. So it's like the best of both worlds. And especially doing the job that I do as an editor in a dark bay, it's like, I'm pretty much there by myself. And then in a convention, I'm surrounded by hundreds of fans. And it's just, it's a very cool kind of existence. I really like it. Horror fans are crazy, but I really love them. I really, they're really my kind of people.
Well, hey, I'm here. I won't argue that point. I'm a casual movie fan. I like good movies, horror, whatever. But I have watched people walk up to our horror stars and ask questions like, what was your motivation for moving this way instead of moving that way? That kind of stuff. This knowing knowing your appearance, knowing your role, probably better than you do.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I don't evaluate I try and stay within the view of the camera, and in acting, I like to become that character and not think about the mechanics of it. unless it, the director tells me like, don't move on this one, or don't do that. It's the way I love acting is just I become that character, and it's just very natural. It's just instinctual of what I do is just what feels right. So I'll tell you one thing that freaked me out at a monster convention. I think it was the Mad Monster Party. Is a guy came up, a fan, and he had me tattooed on his leg.
Wow.
Oh, that's great.
Wow, that is.
Now I'm going to stick my neck out here and guess, and it was your character, and you had the mop.
It was definitely Melvin. Yeah, I'm sure it did.
Because that was actually one thing I wanted to ask. Do they even let you do conventions without a mop at your table?
No, I always request it. It's got to be there. It's got to be there because people want their picture with me.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So Scarefest has to provide that, though. I'm not like.
Oh God! Somebody please bring a mop. If we ask the convention center for one, they'll charge us $200 fucking. So yeah. So put that. I'll make a note of that. Bring mop.
We know for Scarefest, we have a lot of paranormal fans as well. So I do have to ask, and I'm not sure that you're going to have a response to this or not, but have you ever had a paranormal experience?
I've had alien sightings.
Fair enough.
Just
absolutely.
Like I've seen space in Upper Michigan where the sky is completely dark. I've seen a space vehicle, fly all the way across the horizon, stop, and then turn around and go back at like super speed. So like no plane or helicopter could ever do that. So that's my sighting.
Now, what do you do when you see something like that?
I just watch it and say, "Oh, are they coming for me?" Or
Do they want my mop?
Are you like me? People ask me about that, and it's like, okay, nowadays, everybody 30 and under films everything, grabs her cell phone and takes a picture, films it. It would not even occur to me to film if I saw something like that.
Well, this was a long time ago when I was a kid, so that those little phones didn't exist then. But it was sure a sight to behold.
Well, we'll follow up to that. Now, how do you feel about the government finally admitting that, yeah, there's shit up there and we don't know what it is?
It doesn't surprise me. I haven't really seen those reports, but we all know there's shit up there.
Well, let me link you to about 1,000 YouTube videos. Yeah,
yeah.
Tucker Carlson on Fox News. I think he does a nightly thing on it now. So yeah, it's kind of neat. CC, you got anything else?
Let's see. I wanted to know, you have quite a record collection. What kind of music are you listening to?
I like all kinds of music. I like eclectic music. I'm a big punk rock fan. I don't know if you can see my posters, probably not. I've got Iggy Pop up on the wall. I've got Patti Smith up on the wall, and the Ramones over on that wall. And I like all kinds of music. There's not music I don't like. When I'm in the South, I like country music. So, it's just something that I appreciate. All genres, really.
That's great. That's great.
Should we tell them who the actor is going to be in the new Hollywood Toxic Avenger? We talked.
Oh, that's right. Did we get cut off for commercial for that?
Yeah, we were.
Let's talk about it.
So, who do you think is playing Toxie in the new Hollywood remake of Toxic Avenger?
Anybody in the Facebook group?
Jake knew. Why should?
Did he? Jake knows. Jake knows everything. Oh, we have to do a birthday shout out. Today is Jake's birthday. Happy birthday, Jake.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah, there it is.
Yesterday was mine.
Oh, happy birthday, Mark.
Yeah, and
Peter Dinklage is playing Toxic, and I think that's a brilliant idea because it's just going to be so funny and so interesting and weird.
Oh yeah, he's great. He's
Yeah.
great. I can only imagine how he's going to work that. But
I've heard it's a good script. I haven't seen it, but the people that have seen it are very excited about the script.
and we're hoping for a cameo.
I am hoping for a cameo. It's out there. The word is out there. They know how to find me. So I Lloyd and Troma are producers on it, but I think it's almost just a money thing for them. But they have, recommended me to the director. So
And now, if you did do a cameo appearance, how would you want them to work that for you?
well, I was thinking I could either be Toxie's dad, I could be Melvin's dad, or I could just be an old cranky janitor in the janitor closet, that works with Melvin, so.
like a sidekick thing.
Yeah.
We've practically written the script already, just sitting here.
There we go. It's good. It's a hit.
I think my fans just have to really make their voice is heard and get me into this film by petitioning the filmmakers. It's what is the film? Legendary is the film company.
You heard that, everybody. Run down on social
Yep.
media, Legendary Films. Let them know that you want Mark Torgl to have a part to honor the legend that was the original Melvin and the Toxic Avenger. Like I said, right from the making. Although, you know what? Okay, between me and you, I'm going on record. I bet the kill special effects were not as good.
How
No,
could they be?
Everything's digital now. Back then, it was all physical.
They'll CGI that shit and yeah,
Oh yeah,
No.
there was none of that in the original. There was the makeup artist was like unbelievably good. Jennifer Aspinall had all those makeup and the bubbling skin and everything else. She was just awesome. She was really good at putting the makeup on, but she wasn't very good at getting it off. And when
How did you get all that stuff off?
There's a kind of a funny story. After we shot my scenes with, after the transformation scene, there was like the whole team of makeup people trying to get this makeup off me, and it wasn't coming off. And there was a YMCA down the street, and they called the Y to see if I could come down there and like get in the shower and try and get it off myself. So that's what I did. And I was like in the shower, scrubbing, my skin was like falling off my face, and I was scrubbing at it and pulling at it. And in the middle of that, the boys' swim team came into the showers and saw this naked monster with his skin melting. And I believe it traumatized them for life. They didn't stick around very long. They kind of got out of there really quick.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Before we let you go, one last question from Toxic Tutu. The story was told in Toxic Tutu. Did during the alley scene, with the cop and cigar face, did a homeless guy really steal one of the prop weapons and threaten the past?
It was Toxic Avenger, not Toxic Tutu. But
I heard the story in Toxic Tutu. You told it in that, but because you've already told me it was all bullshit, now I got to ask everything about it.
No, that was actually real, and it was kind of a frightening experience. I believe he had a gun, and this was his home. This alley was his home, and he didn't like us being there. Finally, I think the producers gave him some money or something, so he finally settled down and let us do our thing. But
They paid him, but they didn't pay you?
Right. Yeah.
And now you know how to get paid. on a Lloyd Kaufman film. Anyway, we're gonna let Mark go during the commercial break. Mark, I want to thank you so much for coming on tonight and making your announcement. Everybody, we're all excited to see him at Scarefest coming up in October. We'll have much more coming up. We'll see you after the commercial break.
Spirit Mechanics is here to help. Their background includes many different specialties across the metaphysical spectrum, including alchemy, shamanism, Celtic witchcraft, angelic magic, astral travel, and more.
With over 30 years combined experience in the group, you can be confident in their ability to help. If there is a question you have that you cannot answer, they will do their best to assist you.
Metaphysics can be intimidating, confusing, and unfortunately, abused. Spirit Mechanics takes pride in being selfless in the pursuit of helping others, being humble and honest with their clients about their questions, and lastly, maintaining a professional and personable atmosphere. They want you to feel as you are coming to a close friend, and they will do everything in their power to make you comfortable and safe.
TellMeTarot.com. Rare tarot and oracle decks for the discerning enthusiast or collector. Odd decks are not for everyone. If you are a rare deck collector, art collector, or simply fall in love with a deck, then we might be for you. Right now, get 10% off your first order just for subscribing to their newsletter. Shipping is just $5.99 in the United States. TellMeTarot.com.
Hey Scarefest, this is Joe Lewis of Bonehead Weekly with another review. I know I say this a lot and I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but man, I really wanted to really love this movie. It's directed by Neil Marshall. Neil Marshall gave us two of my favorite movies in the aughts. One of the best werewolf films of all time, Dog Soldiers. If you've never seen it, check out Dog Soldiers. And the movie that gave me chills and made me actually kind of yell out in the theater while I was watching it, The Descent. The Descent to me is a masterpiece, a horror film. But then he was going to do a lower budget movie called The Reckoning that takes place late 16th century, and that's what I'm reviewing today. And it's about that time when not only the Black Death or the Black Plague's going on, but you also have these people, witch finders or witch hunters, and people are being accused of witchcraft and they're being murdered. These women are being murdered, their children murdered, their families destroyed because they're suspected of being witches. And you've heard all these stories, you're familiar with a little bit of the history, and that's what this movie's about, is that there's this young lady who is suspected of being a witch, and the Witchfinder General, which by the way is a great Vincent Price movie, you should totally check it out, much better than this film, shows up, and he's played by Sean Pertwee, who's a great character actor and has a lot of Neil Marshall stuff, and she has to suffer. Her husband has died. He got the Black Plague, committed suicide, so they wouldn't get the rest of his family sick. And now she's being accused of a witch. Her baby's been taken away from her. I like the third act slightly. There's some torture in it. And I swear there's one scene that is quite vivid of how you would torture a woman. Think about that to yourself. And then there's a scene or two later, and she walks into the room after she's being tortured. And I thought, if anybody had touched my nethers like that, I wouldn't be able to walk for a week. I know this is a movie, but let's get a little bit of realism. And I think that's the problem. I mean, is it low budget? Yes, but some of the acting in this is Jiminy Christmas terrible. I don't know the lead actress, Charlotte Kirk. She's in several different films. I looked her up. None that I'm really all that familiar with. A couple I've seen. But this isn't the role for her. She's not awful, but she's just entirely miscast. And I see that a lot, especially in these low budget films. And I know it's hard to get who you want or get someone that's going to just kill it. but she's really miscast. And most of this cast is just not good. It's kind of just a mess. I mean, poor story. I mean, one of the reviews on IMDb is garbage, poor acting, poor story, actors look bored, worst Neil Marshall film ever, bring back the director of The Descent. I don't know that's the worst Neil Marshall film ever. Hellboy was pretty bad, but at least Hellboy had something going on. It's a pretty bad movie. I thought this was going to be his return to his roots of low budget kind of horror. There's some scene, is she a witch? Isn't she a witch? None of that plays out overly interesting. None of the decisions made are overly fun or like, oh my God, what a twist, or this is a lot of fun, a lot of action. No, it's just really bad acting coming from a director whom I expect more from. I really can't recommend The Reckoning. If you like that part of history, by the way, the movie says it was about 500,000 witches, and history says it's probably about 40 to 45,000 actually killed. Still a big ass number. If you really like that part of history, want to learn more about it, maybe you'll enjoy this movie, but it took me 2 nights to get through it. Let's be honest. It took me 2 nights. It wasn't like right now I'm going to review Creepshow season 2. That I'm barreling through. Even though it's completely low budget, it at least has the common decency to move right along. It doesn't move at a snail's pace. So I can't recommend The Reckoning, but if you do want to watch it, you're a Neil Marshall completist like I was. If you'd have told me this movie sucked, I'm still going to watch it. In fact, I had heard it sucked. Check it out. It's on Shudder. It's a Shudder exclusive after it played in theaters, The Reckoning. But unless you're into any of that, steer clear. This has been Joe Lewis of Bonehead Weekly.
And welcome back, everybody, to the last few moments of Scarefest TV. We were, first, Cece was spent the commercial break making fun of our Kentuckyisms, such as thunder boomers.
Thunder boomers. I thought that was a type of can.
Now, one thing I do want to point out, okay, I'm going to announce this publicly. As far as booking guests, feel free to go on the fan group and suggest people to book. Some of them we may be in touch with their agents, and we may say, oh, yeah, they mentioned him. Yes, we'll do that. But we are so far from being done, people. Two things. Don't insist that we're done and act like this is it. This is all you get. No, we're not even close to being done. We're past the halfway mark. But somebody requested the good looking guy from Scream. What's his name?
Skeet Ulrich?
Yes. Yeah, Skeet.
Yeah. I saw a Facebook post about that, Skeet Ulrich.
And the thing about Skeet, when he came last time, it was like a spur of the moment thing. He came up with some time. He wanted to do Scarefest. That's how a lot of Elvira is another good example. We don't book Elvira. Elvira books Elvira. Elvira will pick up the phone and say, "Hey, give me a table." So there's a lot of these. It's not even a question whether we want to book them. It's whether they tell us they want to come. And then also that happens in the paranormal field. We should have some announcements in the next week or two of some paranormal people that they like doing Scarefest, and I'll tease it that way. And they've been in contact with us, and it's just a matter of touching base with them and getting it all nailed down. So there are still a lot of celebrity announcements to go. Don't get mad at us though, because here's part 2 of that. We can't get everybody this year. We can only do like 60 celebrities and pay the bills. We've done the math. I mean, now if you all want to really push us and help us get up to about 20,000 people, then the next year we'll book even more. But I'm going to throw that out there that don't get
60 is a lot of celebrities.
Yeah, don't get upset with us because we can't have everybody that's in the damn Los Angeles phone book. There, I said it.
Book your rooms now and get your tickets now, because we're not going to have you mad when everything's
I'm willing to bet that the downtown hotels will be sold out by, if they're not already, by the end of June. Because people now, okay, we're 5 months out from Scarefest. We're 4 months out from basically Keeneland. Those rooms, especially the downtown rooms, will start filling up. And now that they've announced that country western concert that weekend, you can bet that the Saturday night rooms will sell out across town, because country music people, well, we're from Kentucky and we're cheap, and so we'll take the $55 room at the
Best Western.
I was going to come up with something more generic.
Days in.
Is that the Thunder Boom concert?
Yeah, the Thunder. That is the Thunder Boom concert. So anyway, everybody, CC, thank you so much. She kind of got late notice on this one, but she hopped up to the plate as always. And everybody will be back next week with more Scarefest TV.